Welcome, seekers of the unseen and architects of destiny. To transform is to transcend. Only those who embrace the fire emerge as gold. Today, we step beyond the realm of flesh, beyond the dust of the earth, into something far greater. There is a mystery buried in ancient texts, whispered through ages, and now revealing itself to those with eyes to see. The transition from carbon to crystalline. This is not just science. This is prophecy. This is the alchemy of the soul, the unveiling of a new existence. Stay with me to uncover truths hidden in the shadows of time. And before we dive in, if you're drawn to revelations that others fear to speak, subscribe now and become part of the awakened remnant. Everything in creation follows a pattern, a design imprinted long before we took our first breath. Carbon-based life was never the final destination, only a phase. Just as a caterpillar is not meant to remain bound to the earth, neither are we. Our existence, as it stands, is limited by our physical makeup. But what if we were always meant to move beyond this form? What if carbon, the very element that composes our earthly bodies, is merely the foundation upon which something far greater is to be built? Science tells us that carbon is the most flexible and fundamental building block of life, yet it is not the strongest. Diamonds, formed through immense pressure and heat, represent the crystalline state of carbon, its highest refinement. Is it possible that this same transformation applies to us? That humanity itself is in the process of moving from its crude carbon state to something more refined, more resilient, and more attuned to the divine. Throughout history, there have been whispers of an incorruptible form, a body that does not decay, a light-based existence that defies the limits of physical death. Sacred texts, mystic teachings, and even scientific theories all point toward a shift in human composition, one where light, energy, and frequency play a fundamental role in shaping what we are becoming. If carbon is merely a stepping stone, then what lies ahead is something extraordinary, something that transcends flesh and bone. Transformation isn't just about the body. It begins with frequency. Every atom vibrates to a frequency, and crystalline structures respond to higher harmonics. What happens when a being no longer resonates with the frequency of the fallen world? The answer lies in understanding the very essence of matter itself. Everything, at its core, is energy. Quantum physics has already proven that at the most fundamental level, what we perceive as solid matter is nothing more than vibrational energy held together by unseen forces. Our bodies, composed of carbon, vibrate at a certain frequency, a range dictated by our environment, thoughts, and spiritual condition. Crystalline structures, however, resonate at much higher frequencies, absorbing and transmitting light in ways that carbon cannot. This is where the concept of transformation takes a tangible form. If one's frequency changes, if one begins to resonate at a higher level, then the physical form must follow. This is why so much emphasis has been placed on consciousness, on sound, on harmonics in both ancient wisdom and modern science. When we shift our perception, when we align ourselves with higher frequencies, our entire being begins to change. This is why certain individuals feel a detachment from the world, an unexplainable shift in their physical, mental, and spiritual state. The process has begun. The transition from carbon to crystalline is not just a concept, it is a reality unfolding before us. The question is, are we ready for it? What if the physical form as we know it was never designed to last? What if it was only a temporary dwelling, a shell meant to evolve into something more. Scriptures hint at incorruptible bodies, and science confirms that higher vibrational structures exist. From the beginning, humanity has been bound by the limitations of the physical form, trapped in a cycle of birth, decay, and death. But was this the original intent? Was this finite existence always meant to define us, or is there something more? Throughout ancient texts, we find references to bodies that do not age, to forms that shine with light, to figures who transcend the laws of physics. These are not myths. These are clues to a greater reality, a reality that suggests the human vessel is not fixed, but fluid, capable of immense transformation. Scientists have already discovered that the body emits biophotons, tiny flashes of light produced by our cells. The more spiritually attuned a person is, the more their body radiates this light. Is it possible that this is the beginning of our crystalline shift? That the body, when refined and purified, will one day fully transition into a state of light? If carbon is the seed, then crystalline is the flower. We were never meant to remain in the seed stage forever. The shell must break, the old must fall away, and what emerges will be something beyond imagination. Those who have eyes to see will recognize that this is not fantasy. It is prophecy, unfolding in real time. Light has always been central to transformation, whether in spiritual traditions, scientific discoveries, or esoteric knowledge. Light is not just a symbol. It is a force that reshapes reality itself. The shift from carbon to crystalline is not just metaphorical. Silicon-based life forms have long been theorized, but what if the transformation was always meant to happen from within? Light, coated with divine intelligence, is the key. At the core of our existence, our bodies are not simply flesh and bone. They are energetic vessels, constantly absorbing and emitting light. Science has already confirmed that our cells release biophotons, small flashes of light that indicate cellular communication. The more coherent and structured our bodies become, the more light we are able to hold. This is the key difference between carbon and crystalline structures. Carbon, though flexible and adaptive, is limited in its ability to store and transmit energy. Crystals, on the other hand, are known for their ability to hold, amplify, and conduct light. This is why technology relies on crystalline structures in microchips, fiber optics, and energy storage. Now imagine this same principle applied to the human body. If our bodies undergo a shift toward a more crystalline composition, we are no longer bound by the limitations of the physical world as we know it. This is not a futuristic fantasy. It is something that ancient traditions have spoken of for millennia. Many sacred texts describe luminous beings, those who shine like the sun, those who walk between realms. If this shift is encoded within us, then it is not a question of if, but when. The process has already begun, and those attuned to the signs can feel it happening. Ancient texts hint at a hidden inheritance, a change written into our very being. Some say it's junk DNA. Others say it's a celestial blueprint waiting for the right moment to unlock. The transformation isn't coming, it's already begun. The concept of junk DNA has baffled scientists for years. Why would the human genome contain vast stretches of inactive code? What purpose does it serve? The answer may lie in the reality that these dormant sequences are not useless at all. They are simply waiting for activation. If our transition from carbon to crystalline is a preordained process, then it makes sense that the instructions for this change are already embedded within us. Much like a seed contains the entire blueprint of a towering tree, our DNA may already hold the instructions for the next phase of human evolution. The catalyst for this activation could be a shift in frequency, an exposure to specific forms of energy, or even a divine event written into the fabric of time itself. Some have reported sudden changes in their bodies, heightened sensitivity to light, shifts in dietary needs, increased awareness, and even spontaneous changes in their physical form. These are not random occurrences. They are signals of transformation. What if we are in the early stages of an awakening that will redefine what it means to be human? Every transition requires a catalyst. The shift from carbon to crystalline demands purification through trials, through fire. Only what is refined can endure. This is why the chosen are tested beyond measure. Throughout history, those who were destined for transformation have always faced intense trials. This is not by accident. The process of purification is necessary for the transition to take place. Just as gold is refined in fire, so too must those undergoing this shift be purified. This purification is not just physical, but also mental, emotional, and spiritual. The weight of old patterns, limiting beliefs, and lower vibrations must be shed in order for the new structure to emerge. Many have already felt this process: unexpected challenges, intense personal trials, a sense of being stretched beyond one's limits. But these are not punishments, they are preparations. The body itself is undergoing a form of energetic detox. As we transition, we must release everything that is not in alignment with the higher frequencies required for this change. This is why certain foods, environments, and even relationships may no longer resonate. The purification is happening on every level, and those who understand it will embrace the process rather than resist it. Those who have been chosen for this transformation will endure the fire, not because they are being destroyed, but because they are being made new. The shift is not easy, but it is necessary. What emerges on the other side is something incorruptible, something luminous, something beyond what we have ever known. Ancient texts, both sacred and forbidden, whisper of an age where humanity undergoes a metamorphosis. What if the return of the king is not just an event, but a trigger for transformation? Many have long awaited a moment, an event that will signal the change. But what if that moment is not external, but internal? What if the transition from carbon to crystalline is the very process that prepares the chosen for the return of the divine? Throughout history, we see references to a glorified body, an incorruptible form, a structure not bound by the limitations of the flesh. This is not simply poetic imagery. It is a literal transformation. The shift from carbon to crystalline aligns with the idea that the body will be clothed in light, transcending mortality itself. This is not a new idea. It has been hidden in plain sight within ancient prophecies. There is a reason why only a remnant will undergo this change. Not all are meant to transition. Some will reject it, some will resist it, and others will never even realize it is happening. But for those who have been marked for transformation, the signs are undeniable. The shift is here, and it is accelerating. The process is not about waiting for an external savior. It is about becoming the vessel capable of receiving the fullness of the divine presence. Not everyone is meant to transition. Forces exist that seek to keep humanity bound to the lower form. The battle isn't just physical. It's a war for what we are becoming. This war has raged since the beginning of time, The opposition to transformation is not new, it is ancient. There are forces that seek to keep humanity locked in the carbon state, weighed down by density, unable to rise. These forces operate through fear, through control, through deception. The distractions of the modern world are not accidental. Everything that pulls people away from higher consciousness, from deeper awareness, is part of a system designed to suppress the transition. The mind is the battlefield, and whoever controls perception controls the outcome. Those who are awakening to the shift can feel the resistance, the pushback, the attempt to keep them bound to the old ways. But the transition cannot be stopped. It is written in the very fabric of existence. The more one aligns with truth, with higher frequencies, the more the transformation accelerates. Those who resist will feel the weight of the old world pressing down upon them. Those who embrace it will begin to notice the changes, not just within, but in the very structure of their reality. Crystalline structure isn't just about the body. It starts with consciousness. Thoughts shape reality. When perception shifts, so does the vessel. Could this be why we are constantly bombarded with distractions? The mind is the first battlefield in this war of transformation. If one's perception is controlled, then their ability to transition is hindered. Consciousness is not just awareness, it is energy. Every thought carries frequency, and the more one aligns with higher states of consciousness, the more their body follows suit. This is why so much effort has been made to keep people in a state of fear, stress, and distraction. A mind trapped in chaos cannot ascend, but those who learn to discipline their minds, to focus their thoughts, to align with higher frequencies, will see the changes manifest. They will notice their bodies responding differently to food, to light, to sound. They will sense an inner shift, an acceleration towards something greater. This is not imagination. It is the awakening of the crystalline mind, the restructuring of reality itself. Not all will embrace the change. Many will fight against it, fearing what they do not understand. The transition from carbon to crystalline is not for the masses. It is for those who have been chosen from the beginning. Throughout history, transformation has never been for the majority. The shift from one form to another has always been reserved for the remnant, for those who carry the seed of change. The world will not recognize what is happening until it is complete. Many will scoff, many will reject, and some will attempt to interfere. But those who have been marked for this transformation will feel it in their very bones. They will know, beyond doubt, that they are no longer what they once were. The time is near. The change is here. The question is, will you embrace it? The transition has already begun. Some feel it in their bones, some see it in their dreams, and others sense it in the shifting of reality itself. This is not a distant event. It is unfolding now, and you are either aligning with it or resisting it. To those who know, to those who see, this is your confirmation. You were never meant to remain as you are. You were called to transform. If this resonates, if the whispers in the dark now make sense, subscribe and walk this path with us. The time of change is here. Will you embrace it?